This is yeah, Shabbos, and then during the week, maybe during Shabbos, we say no, Shabbos is equal to the thing. I would say all the man days, then again, this is every man, this is not. Then again, it's a this that is again.
Where do you have a marking where we're up to? The bottom? Yeah. Yeah. You see? It's a little quieter. Thank you. What we have here now, what we have learned, even from the Zionis, when he explained Havaya Elohim, that the real highest that comes to an Elohim is Hashem Havaya. Except that into the world it has to come to Hashem Elohim. And then through Nisyonis, you reach back to the Ein Sof itself, and that doesn't, without the Hagbolos of Hashem Elohim, without the Hagbolos of Teva. And he illustrated this by the Nisayon of Avraham Avinu. And he explains like this, that Avraham Avinu didn't get burned in the fire. This was not just an out-of-line miracle. The miracle occurred because he stepped out of the Hagbolos of Teva. And on a higher level, fire does not consume. It consumes only within the level, within the bullets of Teva. Above Teva, fire and water are not opposites, not the nugget. And that's why it did not hurt him. The fire didn't consume. In other words, what he's saying is that when one, that through Nisyonis, one can reveal in the world that which is not worldly. Because the essence of the world is B'em Hashem Havaya, not Shem Elohim.
But if somebody is going and do Yisirus Nefesh, and he's Hashem, yes, born in the fire, so it means he didn't reach this level?
That means what?
A lot of people doing Yisirus Nefesh and they become hurt from it. It means what? They didn't reach this level?
Right. You're right. I mean, the question is powerful. If every time a person goes Mesiras Nefesh, which means he is standing up to the Nisayon, then he should go above Teva. And automatically the miracle should occur. But it's not what happens. The view from Mesiras Nefesh is a phenomenal thing. It's a powerful thing. But we have to understand that. That's it. Sure. You have to understand that there are different levels. There are different levels in Mesiras Nefesh. There is. By Avraham Avinu, it says that that Mesiras Nefesh of Avraham Avinu was different than the Mesiras Nefesh of Rabbi Akiva. Understand English? Rabbi Akiva, when he was killed, I'm Kiddush Hashem. So his Talmidim asked him, how is this? How do you allow this to happen? So Akiva said, my whole lifetime, I was hoping to have this chus to be Mesiras Nefesh. This is a high madrega in Avidas Hashem, to the Kaddish Shemayim with your very life, and he wanted that. By Avraham Avinu, the Mesiras Nefesh was of a different nature. Avraham Avinu did not look for Mesiras Nefesh. He wasn't interested in Mesiras Nefesh. He was interested to reveal Elokus godliness in the world, to teach everybody about God. And in doing so, he did not stop, even if it were a question of Mesiras Nefesh. But everything that he did, the Mesiras Nefesh itself came not because he sought Mesiras Nefesh, but because of what he was doing. How did Avraham Avinu end up being thrown in the fire? Because he broke down the idols. So if someone was a Mesiras Nefesh because he cannot possibly live with himself if he doesn't go Mesiras Nefesh. Right? A goy forces a yid, right? He should bow to the idol or else I'll kill you. And the yid says, I'm ready. So even though this is real Mesiras Nefesh, but this Mesiras Nefesh is contained, so to speak, within the world, in the sense that it says, if I should deny Elokus, then my life is worthless. I can't live like this. So therefore, it is still not the Mesiras Nefesh that says that Teva is not something which limits me. It's not going above Teva. He just says this is not a life if I don't do it. But what happened with Mesiras Nefesh and Avraham Avinu was that Avraham Avinu says, told to the whole world, that Teva is not a Metzias. That Teva is a created being, created state, and the real koyach behind it is Shem Havaya, is the mind of Teva. So therefore, his Mesiras Nefesh actually represented this scene. Machananya Mishoel Vazaria was the same thing. You know the story of Machananya Mishoel Vazaria. By Doniel was also the same thing. Doniel, this was in Golos Bavel, after the first Churban. And the king then gave out a decree that no one is allowed to daven, to pray, outside, except in his Avodah Zarah. Daniel was actually serving the king. He was a very a minister. So, and he lived in the second floor. So he went and especially opened the windows, and in front of the windows he stood there and davened. For everybody to see. And he davened facing Yerushalayim. That was also, especially facing Yerushalayim. So he was taken to the king. Oh my son. The king loved Daniel tremendously. And he didn't want to punish him. But the minister said, hey, it's your own law. You signed the law. They made him sign the law. Because it was a whole plan. It was a whole plan. It's your law. You have to, if you don't follow your law, you're going to weaken the whole country. So he had no choice but to allow them to throw Daniel to the lions in a big pit. And the king then went to look and see what was happening in the pit, and he saw Daniel sitting there and the lions sitting around him. So he cried, and Daniel, he cried and cried out, he cried, come out. And anyway, the king was very happy that he wasn't hurt. And then he punished all the ministers that made him throw Daniel into the cave. But the point was, specifically this was made, nothing can stop me from davening. Okay. Hayoytzei lonu mikol hanal. Who? What is the conclusion of all this discussion from above? It is shezeh kol avedus ha'odom. That in fact, the avedus ha'odom is in fact, this is the principle of avedus ha'odom. Why was the task? Why is a human being in the world? For this purpose. Leyached havaya ve'elikim. To unite the Shem Havaya with the Shem Elikim. What does that mean? As we explained, he's going to explain again. But who? Sheyei denemono, and that is that he should know very clearly, without any question. The Shem Elikim einay mastir be'emes al Shem Havaya. That the Shem Elikim does not truly conceal on the Shem Havaya. The Shem Elikim, because the Shem Elikim who atzmus oirein soiv k'moi Shem Havaya. That itself is also atzmus oirein soiv, just as Shem Havaya itself. The etzem einay mastir al etzem. What does this mean? Etzem in the master al-etzem means that the object itself cannot conceal itself. Like there has a halacha that if you don't have a yarmulke, you want to make a bracha, so you can put your hand over your head. But that's only if you have a sleeve on. But if you just to put your hand on the head is not considered a covering, because you can't cover on yourself. As if it's something else. Etzem in a master al-etzem.
If you have the yarmulke, can you cover with your hand on it?
It's not, so the hand is not covered. The yarmulke is a cover. You don't. You put your hand on. You're not hurting it. I mean, the yarmulke is still there, but it's a yarmulke. Without a yarmulke, the hand doesn't do anything. Avaya Elikim. Shem Elikim is also Atzmasin and served just like Shem Avaya. Shem Avaya is Atzmasin and served in the Bli Gvul Inyan, in the Koyach and Yisayv. Shem Elikim is in Koyach HaGvul, that it should be able, that the Elokus should be revealed in a limited, in a Tivisdike level.
And so it's after the Tzimtzum?
Yes. Well, Atzmasin is served before the Tzimtzum, after the Tzimtzum, it goes higher and higher. There is Shem Havaya below the Tzimtzum, Havaya above the Tzimtzum. Shem Elokim above the Tzimtzum, Elokim below the Tzimtzum. Just like we explained before by the Rav, that when he explained to the Talmud, so this is an important thing, when he explains to the Talmud Inyan Sichli, and he limits it to be able to go on the Talmud's level, so it loses its richness, it loses its greatness. But from the Rav's perspective, this limited seichel contains the whole principle. So it's also a gilui of the seichel harav. The same way as the whole etzem harav, seichel harav. The same thing is in Shem Elokim. Water is a very important thing. And it's important for a person to drink water. So that when you go to a lake, or a well, or whatever it is, you have fresh water, you see, oh, look at this, the Rebbe that made water for a person to drink, so that she can be able to live. Okay, so you have a huge lake with millions of gallons of water. And you go and you take one little cup and you drink. So this cup of water doesn't have the whole lake, right? It has just a little bit. So it's a hagbola. But just like the whole lake was made so that there would be water for the world, and people should be able to drink, this little bit of water in this cup serves that very same purpose. Except it serves that purpose at the practical level. How do you actually take water from the lake? To drink, you have to use a cup. You understand? But it's no less that principle, that water is made so that people should be able to live. Water in the cup, in this limited amount, serves that very same purpose.
So all the lake is like Shem Havaya and cup is Shem Elokim?
Sort of like, yeah. So it's exactly the same thing. And to recognize this union, that Havaya Hu Elokim, Hashem Elokim is also Asmas Yisrael, also Elokus, except it's to bring it down to the worldly level. But it's exactly the same thing, and therefore it's not concealing it. If you jump into the lake and you drink, you can't drink, you drown. But if you take a little water out of the lake in a cup, you can drink. But it's exactly the same water. And in terms of the lake, it's always there. You finish one cup, you want another cup, you go and take another cup. As many cups as you want. So there isn't a real Hakbala. The Hakbala is only that it comes in an orderly, natural fashion. So that it will come and beneficial to you. This is the for Shem Elokim, Hashem Elokim. And the whole Aveda's Ha'odom is to reveal this principle in the world. To function within Shem Elokim, within the Teva Ha'olam, and recognize and reveal in this Teva that really this Teva is L'mayim min HaTeva. Except it's L'mayim min HaTeva camouflaged and limited in a tivistic form. V'chol ha'hizhavus hu mishum havaya. The hizhavus itself is from Shem Havaya. This, the Havaya hu mahava kol hanivroim. What this means is that the miracle of creation of Mahava, to be Mahava Yesh Mayayin, this miracle of creation is an Ein Sof type of koyach. This is a godly miracle, not a natural thing. The miracle of creation is sourced in the koyach in Shem Havaya. So Havaya represents a lukus on the level that is above the limits of the world. That's where the miracle of creation comes from.
Creation, Yesh Me'ayin, is not from Shem Elokim, it's from Shem Havaya?
Right. The koyach to create is Shem Havaya. Because that koyach truly represents Ein Sof. It's not a natural thing. It's not a natural process to create. It's a koyach bilki mugmal. Like, give you an example, right? We're saying, I want this cup to be here. So if I pick up my hand, that's natural. I'm going through the process of nature. But if the cup moves there because I want it to move there, that's not natural. That's some kind of a higher koyach. That reveals a higher koyach. What does it reveal? It reveals that the whole mitzvah of the world is really a miracle. It's really a godly koyach. It's not a natural thing. If this were to happen. The reason that there is miracles, the reason that tzaddikim can do miracles, the reason for all that is because the world is really not concealing Holocaust. It really is underlying a koyach inside. And all the various garments, which means the various kelim and forms, and the concealment of Hashem Elokim. The concealment means it conceals the Ein Sof, and what appears is only something that is limited. In truth, they are not malim and master. They're not truly malim master, which means they're not really removing this koyach ein sof from the world. The koyach ein sof remains in the world. Ki'im, only rather other rabba. On the contrary, the alomis v'hesterim are meviim. They bring down as ha'oil l'mokim nochem nomach yesh. They bring down the oil into a lower area, to a lower place. V'hainu, and what does this bringing the oil to a lower place mean? It means shegam benivroim ba'alei gvul, that even in creatures which are mugbal, which are limited, Yom Shabahem Oil Havaya. The Oil Havaya should be able to come down into these finite creatures, and to make them be and to give them chayis. Wherever the nivra would be, nimshech lo shefa oir v'chayus, he gets a shefa and oir of chayus mishem havai, for the shem havai. Okay. B'chol mokem shehu, what does that mean? B'chol mokem shehu nimshech lo oir v'shem. If the Shem Elokim would be master, Shem Havai, really master, really removing it, and then leaving it just what is allowed to the Shem Elokim, then, this is the same meaning like we said before about miracles, then, if this cup is standing here, so it's being created here. If I move it here, should be no more cup. Thank you. Should be no more cup. It's created just this limited thing. So it is here, it's there. Why is it over here? when I move it here? Why is it any place I want? When I say that this can be any place, it means that there is an Ein Sof quality in this very little cup.
We didn't think about it.
Huh?
We didn't thinking about it like this.
We don't think about it.
Yeah.
Of course not. But that's what it would be. If it is limited, it's just like this here. But we see that it's not. B'chol mokim shehu. Yushpal Hashem Hashem me'avaya. Why? Because the Shem Havaya is still mashpia. Shem Havaya is blikhu, as they say. Wherever you go, there is a Shem Havaya. And that's why it can be any place we want. And the point is that the Shem Elokim is not really master of the Shem Havaya. Only it allows it to come down to a lower level. What's a lower level? It's a finite, it's a limited piece. So the final piece, I can say what this is by name. But then it becomes a real thing. It becomes a real thing. I can take it with me. I can, it's here, it's there, and it can last forever.
What about the things that it's mamish against Avodah Zorah? It's also Avodah Zorah, in order to exist, should be without from Shem Havaya.
Yeah. The material, what's Avodah Zorah? They make it from material that the Rebbe created. What's Avodah Zorah? Avodah Zorah is a means of stealing, so to speak, from Kedusha into Klippa. But Avodah Zorah also, without Kedusha, it wouldn't exist. Without the Ein Sof element, it wouldn't exist. But it takes the Ein Sof element and says it's mine. Like we spoke about many times in the past, that the physical world is very limited, right? But just like we spoke about now, B'chol mokim shehu, the same thing is about the physical element. You take anything physical, take a piece of wood, you can never make it not be. You can change it from wood into ashes and into smoke. You can crush it, you can break it, but you cannot make it disappear like it was never there. Because the primary element of existence is from Shem Havaya, is from HaKoyach Ein Sof. And therefore, it is really not destructible. If you remember, when we learned Avraham Avinu was misboinen in the world, in the yeshus of the world, and from that he came to recognize Elokus. It's precisely this. He was misboinen into the yeshus of the world, and he saw that the very yeshus of the world is not worldly. If it were worldly, it would not be such a true presence. It would come and go. The fact that its presence is so unlimited, so profound, it's a real presence. That itself showed me that there is a creator to this. There is something outside of the world, bigger than the world, that makes it real. Because if it were only world, it would be limited the same way as the world is limited. It would exist for a day and then cease to exist. Just like, the kishim, the sorcerers. You make it and then it evaporates into thin air. Because it wasn't real. But that which we have with the Eibusha made, this is real. It stands forever. So this is what it says, M'chol mokim shehu, nimshach loi, shefa oir v'chayus m'shem havaya. V'lo and for this reason, therefore, tzorich li yois dovuk yuchad b'ha'oir v'chayus oleki ha'nishpa loi. Therefore, the avoida is that one has to recognize this and come to a conclusion that what should you be relating to? You should be relating to the Chayes Eliki that comes there, not to the Chitzonis, to the Gash. Loyal halvushim va'alomis mitzad atzmo. You should not relate to the levushim, to the forms and the alomis mitzad atzmon in and of themselves. Kiyim el ha'oyer ha'oleki ha'nishpa al yodo. You have to relate to the oil, to the godliness that comes through them, not to the keli itself. And as we will explain further more about this. When this inya, when this connection and this unity with the Oyer Eleki, when it comes to him through a nisoyan, in other words, there's an obstacle, something that stops him and doesn't allow him to relate to Dasoy V'chayis. And then this is Nisoyan, he stands up to Nisoyan. So then, as a result of this Nisoyan, he comes to even a higher oil, even higher than the inyan of the Chayis of the Shem Havaya. The Gilui Nisoyev that is completely above Teva. What does that mean? Normally, under normal circumstances, you are in Teva, right? The Shem Elokim. But you understand and you recognize that the Oyer V'chayis that comes through this Teva is really a Chayis Elokim. Comes from Shem Havaya. But how do you receive it? You receive it through the processes of Teva, through the limits of Teva. When this comes through an Nisoyon, then you relate directly to the Oyer Havaya, not to Teva, bypassing the Teva. The Teva stands up against you, tries to prevent you from relating to it. Then, by standing up to that, by forcing your way through, then you relate to Ida Havaya directly, to the Ein Sof.
So it's two ways how to reveal the Shem Havaya from Shem Elokim?
What?
It's two ways how to reveal Shem Havaya to the Shem Elokim. One is Nisayon and
One is normal. Normal, it is by Dveikus, to be dovuk to the Shem Havaya, to the Eir Eliki, that's in the Teva. To recognize that the real Inyan of Teva is the Eir Eliki, not the Teva. But if this comes through an Nisayon, then you relate to the Oir Havaya, Shem Havaya, not through the Shem Eliki, but directly to it, the Ein Sof. The Ein Sof directly.
לא, וזה צריך להיות דבוק מיוחד מאוד לחיות על הכי המשפחה. לא אין הלבושים והעולמות מצד עצמם, אם האור אלוקי הנשפע על ידם.
הנשפע על ידם. The Oir Eliki that comes through the Levushim. When it comes to the Levushim, right to the garments.
So you look, you contemplate on the sun, on the stars, and the light is through the ocean.
It comes to the Levushim. And the Levushim is like this. The daylight comes because the sun rises. That's a Levush. But you recognize that what makes the sun rise, this is the Rebbeinu brings the sun out. So therefore you're receiving Hashpah from the Rebbeinu, not from the sun. But the Hashpah is from Rebbeinu through the sun.
When you get Nisayon, so you also understand the Rebbeinu that bring you to this.
But when you have a Nisayon, then you relate to the Rebbeinu not at all through the sun. At least you relate to the Rebbeinu through the sun. You see, and the Rebbeinu makes light, but it makes light through the sun. But if you have a Nisayon, then you have direct light from the Rebbeinu directly.
Without the Levush.
Without the Levush. Not to the Levush.
Because the Levush is against you.
That's
so
right.
It's, like,
The Levush becomes a Nisayon.
One can do for sure.
Devotion between how God builds the world and the העולם. This is devotion because he said, היינו גילוי אור אינסוף שלמעלה מהטבע. So you're going to feel אור אינסוף not with the טבע, how it's coming the טבע.
Right.
מעל הטבע.
That's to Nisayon, you come to Me'alata. Normally, you receive also Chayes Eliki from Havaya, but through the Teva, through Shem Eliki.
What does it mean מעל הטבע? If it's מעל הטבע, so what I'm going to see? Because I'm in the teva, so what I'm going to see?
You're not in Teva. Nisayon means that you are ignoring the Teva.
Like
Yes,
when
sir.
Shon ben Adam when he jumped to the sea,
Nisayon. When Eden came out of Mitzrayim, and they came out of the Yam Suf. So it says that they walked for 3 days after the Yam Suf, and they didn't find any water. For 3 days without water. And they didn't complain. Why didn't they complain? Because they relied entirely on the Medrash. They forgot that the human being has to drink water. That means that they receive their chayes directly from the inside. Normally, the chayes comes also from the inside, but through the levush of water. Or through the levush of air, breathing. When they receive chayes, the tavis levush, that goes directly from the inside. Moshe Rabbeinu was up in the mountain for 40 days and he didn't eat. And didn't drink. Because the food and the drink gives chayes to the Meibashim. Why? How? Because there is a koyach eliki in it. Moshe receives it directly from koyach from Elokus, without the levush of the food. This is the Aveda, when you say, this is the Aveda, this is our Aveda here. To reveal that the whole Teva is actually Havaya L'mayim. There is no natural reason. By eating food, you become healthy. You live. It's only because there is a Meitzah Shama, and this is the Rebbe. The Rebbe gives the Chayes that way. That's why we make a bracha, when we eat food. Because it's koyach eliki that gives us chayes, not the food, not the gashmis. When you eat food, you chew it up, you digest it. And the koyach eliki that gives chayes becomes crystallized, becomes filtered out from the food, and that comes into your body and gives you chayes. Everything else you throw out.
Like in the Geula, when the dead come up, we get למצב שלא נאכל ולא נשתה.
Yeah, that's.
What you talking about?
I'm talking about even now when you eat food. The chayes that we get food is from the Moitze Pi Havaya. It's from Father Rebbe that this is chayes. The Rebbe said this should be mechayes the person. The Rebbe created food and he said this is what you should eat because through this you're going to have chayes.
So food is like always the rules to what you get.
That's right. You know, there was a discussion amongst Yeshiva Bachrim. When you have tea, it's water, and then you put sugar in it. And you mix it, and then the tea becomes sweet. So now the question is, what makes the tea sweet? Is it the sugar, or is it the mixing? So the question is, if it's the mixing, why do you need the sugar for? The answer is, you need the sugar to know how long to mix. Okay.
Okay, right on time.
Okay, right on time.